Hello, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough. Today's review was suggested by Beej1987. And it seems it's time once again to talk about one of the many nostalgic Halloween traditions I've had from my youth. The last few Mediaween reviews I've done have highlighted so many old October favorites of mine. Black Lagoon Adventures, Making Fiends, Edgar and Ellen. Now we look back at two Halloween specials aired on Cartoon Network in the 2000s. Scary Godmother. But first, some history. It all starts in the late 90s with comic book artist and writer Jill Thompson, a woman who cut her teeth in the comic industry at pretty much every major comic company. But it seems most comic fans would recognize her for her work on Wonder Woman, her artwork for The Sandman, and a series that she helped create over at Dark Horse, Beasts of Burden. However, before the last one, she created her own little series of children's books with Scary Godmother, a story following a little girl named Hannah and her friendship with the title character, a witch-like woman who looks out for her. Together they go on adventures in both the real world and a place called the Fright Side, which is pretty much this world's version of a Halloween town from Nightmare Before Christmas, a land where various monsters live. The books began in 1997 under Sirius Entertainment and went up until 2011, receiving a full book collection of several of the books of the series put into one under Dark Horse. At the height of the book's popularity, the first special was released internationally in 2003, later in the US in 2004, and a second special was made in 2005, both airing on Cartoon Network, with both specials having Jill helping with the story and design work. And as for the animation, both were done by Mainframe Entertainment, the same company behind classic shows like Beast Wars and Reboot, and if you're familiar with MediaWiz, you might remember we talked about their animated Casper movies. So expect a lot of cheap animation and a ton of Canadian voice actors with these. Once again, you can play along at home with a good old-fashioned Canadian voice actor drinking game. So let's look back at these specials and see how they hold up after all these years. Let's begin with the first of the two, Scary Godmother's Halloween Spooktacular. We begin on Halloween night, and right away you'll notice the animation looks not that good. I mean, I don't mind the character designs like some other critics do. They resemble the character designs from the original books well enough, but yeah, the rendering on a lot of the surfaces, certain movements, and noticeably the shading a lot of the time, that doesn't hold up well. However, I hold the position that just because the animation isn't very good, doesn't mean that it's automatically bad. I mean, yeah, it'll certainly take some getting used to, but let me put it like this. I would prefer to watch a movie like Hoodwinked over Shrek the Third. I mean, sure, Shrek the Third has better animation quality, but I think Hoodwinked makes up for its not-so-good animation with its good script and really funny humor. So, with all that in mind, let's continue with the special. Anyway, we see a group of kids getting together in a cemetery. Daryl, Bert, Katie, and the leader of the group, Jimmy, joined by his little cousin Hannah. Like you'd expect for a boy at that age, Jimmy isn't too thrilled about having to bring a little girl who's scared of her own shadow around with him and his friends on Halloween night. So he concocts a plan to get rid of her by dropping her off in the obligatory creepy house in the neighborhood they nickname the Spook House. With Jimmy and his friends telling Hannah that it's some kind of big kid's rite of passage to go into the house and leave some candy for monsters in the basement, or else they'll eat you instead. Playing into the super old Halloween tradition of offering some candy to monsters before the night is over to keep them from attacking your town. The people who made these specials must be giant Halloween nerds, in which case I am 1000% on board with that.
Leave your candy! It's your only hope! I think I hear a skeleton rapping in the closet!
You hear that witch laughing?
Wow. They got hand puppet skills that would make Ed Nettie blush.
Hold still, Lumpy! Boink! Boink!
I feel it, Eddie, like voodoo.
Also, you gotta appreciate the subtle foreshadowing with each of the shadow puppets being the monsters we see later on. Nice touch. Hannah tries to make a break for it, but the kids keep her locked in there, causing the poor girl to break down and cry, when in that very moment, the title character finally appears. And if you're familiar with your Canadian voice actors, tell me if you recognize who she could be.
Hannah Marie! Say hello to your scary godmother. My what? Scary godmother! Ta-da! Canterlot! Oh, I am so envious. The glamour, the sophistication.
That's right, it's Tabitha St. Germain, the voice of Rarity from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic.
Oh, dear sweet Celestia, the voice actress for Best Pony is in these specials?
Oh, hey, Pony fanboy, haven't seen you in a while. Should have expected he was going to do that after I said that. So much like the original books, Scary Godmother is pretty much a Halloween-themed fairy godmother for Hannah, to help her through life and help her conquer her fears. As the two fly out of the house and into the realm called the Fright Side. Geez, even in animated movies you have to rely on map paintings for backgrounds now? Once they get into her house, we meet the first of the monstrous ensemble, a flamboyant skeleton called Scully, who happens to be her broom mate, since he lives in her closet.
Oh my, Scary Godmother! Sorry to be so late, but I just had to get these old bones bleached for the party.
And along with a couple of other characters we see later, Scully is played by yet another Canadian voice actor, Scott McNeil. So as they get ready for their own little Halloween party, Hannah agrees to stick around and meet some more of their friends. Back with the kids, they're outside the spook house waiting for Hannah, completely unaware that she's off in another world somewhere. But they manage to kill some time with some awkward pre-teen flirting.
And Miss Jula's Joe for 3 kisses.
Okay. Wait. I don't have any kisses. Oh. Breaker. We've lost contact with Katie and Daryl.
Yes, thank you, Bert. Thank you for breaking up that incredibly awkward moment.
Bert, nobody puts CBs in SUVs these days.
You just left your baby cousin to the mercy of killer monsters on Halloween night, and you're concerned with the additions and upgrades in my cardboard SUV?
Good point.
That really shouldn't be that funny, but I don't know, that still gets me after all these years. Back in the Fright Side, the first of our guests arrive, a goofy thespian werewolf called Harry with a rather large appetite, which will come into play later. Voiced by Gary Chalk.
It's Ophelia St. Tartar, who played the Princess of Ectoplasmania in episode 42 of The Spectral Six. She's practically in the same costume as well. I am such a huge fan of the show. I must know every single line from every single episode. I remember when our fair hair...
Here's a treat that's fun to make and helps you get a word in edgewise. Take 2 of your favorite crackers, spread 1 with jam, 1 with peanut butter, mush them together, and jam them into the mouth of the chattering werewolf.
Okay, I'm gonna have to remember that for later. That sounds like that can come in handy with a couple of guys that I happen to know. A couple of guys that just love to hear themselves talk and just keep droning on and never let you get a word in edgewise. Next up, we get a family of vampires. Count Max, his wife Ruby.
Max and Ruby. Ruby and
Yeah, obvious joke is obvious. And their son Orson. After a bit of them having to be invited into the house, you get it? Because they're vampires. Hannah and Orson have a little bit of a back and forth, all the while the camera does a sweeping 360 around them.
Do you go to school?
Sure, night school. Don't you go to school?
I go to school. Sacred Heart.
Sounds tasty.
And because of some wacky shenanigans, Harry gulps down a bottle of soda and is able to talk again. After annoying both the vampires, Max decides to hypnotize Harry, putting him into a state of sleep. Sleeping while standing, no less. And now for the last of our guests, a monster who hides under the beds of children everywhere, Bugaboo.
It's okay, Hannah. Take a deep breath.
This results in everybody chasing around the house for a bit until Hannah stops them by flashing her flashlight in Bugaboo's face. Hannah saying that he's too scary and wants him to go away, which makes him sad and ready to leave. But she immediately feels bad about this and apologizes. Well, with everybody here and all the water under the bridge, we spring into a dance montage. Give them this. At least they did the dance montage in the middle of the special instead of the end of the special, just because every other animated movie, special, or cartoon has to do it for some reason. Anyway, back with Jimmy and his friends, it seems they missed out on Halloween as the lights and the jack-o'-lanterns start going out. This results in everybody trying to figure out what to do next by deciding who should be the group's leader. Oh my god, will all of you stop acting like wimps and just go into the house and get the little girl already? You practically wasted your time and missed Halloween anyway. Back in the Fright Side, Max accidentally snaps his fingers, which causes Harry to wake up and eat all the food for the party. So, it seems they'll have to order some pizzas instead.
Here's your order, Scary Godmother. That'll be $197. Tip not included.
$200 in pizza?
Sure, 12 extra larges at $16 each.
12 pizzas at a party that has like 6 people at it? That's 2 boxes of pizza per person. I mean, unless you got Papa John's, Mr. 40 pizzas in 40 days at your party, I don't see that ending well. But they managed to get enough money and spare change off of Bugaboo and pay for the pizzas. But oh, Scary Godmother is none too pleased with Harry.
Oh, please, I'll do anything.
I know you will, Harry. You'll help me in the pumpkin patch, you'll knit spider webs, clean the tombs. Oh, yes, you'll probably have tonight paid off by Halloween next year. Enjoy your pizza.
After Hannah has a great time with her new friends, she tells them about the vile prank her cousin Jimmy pulled on her before they got there. So now, Scary Godmother and her friends plot to get back at them. Back with Jimmy and his friends, they finally go inside the house, coming across Orson, and are slowly introduced to the other monsters who scare the living hell out of them. And call me crazy, but I think their reactions are way scarier than any of these monsters. I mean, I know they're shooting for the whole Tex Avery reaction shot, but some of these just do not translate well into this level of CGI. Leave it to Hannah with her flashlight as she shines light onto the monsters who pretend to be defeated.
I die, I flail, then I die.
And so, the special ends with the kids running for their lives out of the house. Scary Godmother gifts Hannah with a special key she can use on any door to travel from the real world to the Fright Side, and the monsters congratulate each other on a job well done. Oh, and of course, Harry is hungry again.
Any pizza left? What? No, it's hungry work. I built up quite an appetite. It's not easy scaring people, you know. Oh, no, please don't come any closer.
And now we move on to the second of these specials, Scary Godmother, The Revenge of Jimmy. Well, this time we begin with a framing device of sorts, as Harry narrates the story while in some kind of media broadcast room that Scary Godmother has in her house. She enters to remind him to help with some of the chores to make up for eating all the food at last year's party, but he manages to get out of it for now. The story proper begins with Jimmy in his room, scared out of his wits from all the monsters last Halloween, especially Bugaboo. Which makes sense. They established in the last movie that Jimmy's apparently a regular on Bugaboo's scaring route, so of course that would be the one that sticks out the most to Jimmy. His friends show up to check in on him, and sets off some poor man's Home Alone traps that Jimmy set up for all the monsters. And while the animation quality here is definitely a step up compared to the first special, the one thing that I cannot get past is how Jimmy's voice sounds considerably younger than he did in the last special.
Aren't you listening? When you celebrate Halloween, you just make the monsters stronger. This year, we're boycotting Halloween.
Not surprising though. While most of the cast returns, there are a couple exceptions who switched actors between movies, Jimmy being the most noticeable. And interestingly enough, his original voice actor was actually in another holiday special I reviewed, that Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer cartoon. But anyway, for this year, Jimmy plans to boycott Halloween since he thinks simply celebrating the holiday makes the monsters even stronger. He asks his friends to join him, and they all leave, thinking he's just lost his marbles. Back with Hannah, she's putting up some Halloween decorations all around her room. Bugaboo appears from under her bed, and the two have a friendly conversation. Hannah brings up that she doesn't have any cobwebs to hang up, so Bugaboo mentions Scary Godmother might have some spare cobwebs that she could use. Hannah uses her key to head over to the Fright Side and ask her in person. She walks in while Scary Godmother and Scully are preparing some food for another party, when in that instance, her ghost cat Boozle hacks up a hairball.
Ew, a hairball! No, a hairball!
Once they get the scare ball under control, the vampires come in for a visit, asking if Scary Godmother needs help with anything. It's here where Ruby shows Hannah what Orson's Halloween costume will be, which causes the poor young vampire to have some major embarrassment.
Do I have to wear that? I look like a dork in a crown.
Yes, you will be the prince of darkness. What? Darkness is not good? What is a dork?
Dork! Dork and dorky dork!
That reminds me, surprisingly no Kathleen Barr for this Canadian voice cast.
Oh no.
Go ahead. Eat me, Jimmy. Then on Halloween, I get to eat you.
Wow, Mom, spaghetti sure looks good, and what the flying fuck? Anyway, Jimmy finally plots to properly ruin Halloween for everyone. After Hannah mentions pumpkins over the phone, Jimmy sneaks into a pumpkin patch and smashes huge holes in them with his foot. So if you somehow can't tell, this is pretty much going to be like the Grinch, except instead of Christmas, it's for Halloween. You know, not counting the actual Grinch Halloween special, but you get what I'm saying. Hannah and Jimmy's friends go to the pumpkin patch the next day and are devastated by all the smashed pumpkins, which affects the Fright Side in a very bad way too, with all of the jack-o'-lanterns getting sucked into the ground. However, Hannah's able to save things by saying they can still use the pumpkins and pretend the smashed shapes are just the mouths, saving the Fright Side in the process. But Jimmy doesn't give up so easily. After they pass by his house and mention they're going to get some candy and costumes the next day, he then goes into a store late that night with a marker, vandalizing the costumes, saying they're flammable, and vandalizing the candy, saying they're poisoned. Looks like Jimmy can spend Halloween night in juvie, considering that's breaking and entering and vandalization. Once again, this affects the Fright Side in a very negative way, as everything begins to disappear. But leave it to Hannah once again to save things by suggesting they can make their own treats and reuse their costumes from last year and make some slight changes. I would assume that made things easy for the animators since they didn't have to model new costumes for these characters. But again, this doesn't stop Jimmy as he resorts to the oldest Halloween trick in the book and TPs the spook house. While cosplaying as Arthur Fleck apparently, going by his Joker smile and his insane laughter, the kids arrive at the spook house later and decree that Halloween is cancelled. So all of Halloween could be over and the Fright Side could just disappear simply because of what's going on in this one small town, let alone just with this one small group of kids? Well, I, for one, am so happy about this. You know, I've been trying to get Halloween canceled for years now, so it makes me very happy to see that this young man is succeeding. Oh my god, shut your freaking face. You realize that in the last few years, people have been saying that Halloween is dying, right? Okay, you know what? You, I'm ignoring. And once again, this has negative effects on the Fright Side.
Ah! My signature shirt is gone!
I'm going to paint it here!
Oh, I've lost my color.
You have lost your color. Look at us, we're pink! What is this beating in my chest?
Once again, Hannah salvages things by saying the toilet paper makes the house look like it's covered in ghosts, saving Halloween and the Fright Side yet again. So Hannah uses her special key and invites her friends into the Fright Side, with the kids now thinking that the monsters are just older kids in costumes. And they continue their party with even more dancing. In the kitchen, Hannah talks to Ruby and Max about Orson's costume, and she convinces them to let him dress as something else, borrowing some elements from Scully's cowboy costume. Well, that takes care of that subplot. And they also establish a costume contest, with the winner being whoever has the scariest costume. But ruh-roh, it seems Jimmy snuck in and is planning to steal the prize.
Candy?
Killed. In the scuffle, Bugaboo finally shows to the party and breaks up the madness. Harry gets flung out of the house, and Scully manages to catch the prize. And now, more nightmare fuel on account of these damn reaction faces these characters have. Ugh, oh god, never show that again. Ugh.
Oh, man. Ah, you got me, kid. You gave me a great scare. Tonight I'll have to check under my bed to see if you might be there.
Hey, everybody! I think we've got a winner here for best costume. Anyone who can scare Bugaboo deserves it.
So Jimmy has returned to normal, officially getting back into the Halloween spirit again. Everyone continues to party, and we end with Harry finally getting pulled out of the media room after begging for candy donations. Meh. Still less greedy than most popular Twitch streamers are when it comes to e-begging and asking for donations.
I also accept gift certificates, gift baskets, comic books, DVDs, CDs, beta! Those little squishy candies with a cream inside. Oh, please.
Sorry about that, folks. Thanks for watching.
So that was Scary Godmother's Halloween Spooktacular and The Revenge of Jimmy. They're both very silly, some of the jokes can be very cheesy, and the animation isn't the best. But damn it, I still have such a soft spot for these specials. Both specials do a pretty good job of being adaptations of the first two books in the series, with a couple of changes here and there. Notably, the lack of human characters in the second special. There were more human characters as the books went on, though that might have been because they didn't have enough time to model more human characters. That being said, the character models are distinct and memorable enough on their own, being pretty good CG counterparts to their 2D illustrations. The first is a nice, simple story about a girl learning to face her fears and make new friends in the process, while the second is a fun Grinch-style story of Jimmy trying to ruin Halloween for everyone, and we see how this could potentially affect those on the Fright Side. It might be a bit repetitive, but I like the constant looming threat of Halloween potentially being ruined. In comparison to the first one, it's a real sense of conflict that one didn't really seem to have. Some of the jokes can be a little bit cornball for certain viewers, and I'll fully admit the weakest element is definitely the animation, especially in the first special. The rendering just looks unfinished in a lot of points, and some of the more exaggerated expressions just come off very uncanny. Though apparently the schedule to work on these specials weren't that long, and the number of team members working on them kept fluctuating, so that might explain some of the shortcomings we had here. Sure, they're not perfect, and it's very easy to see some of the more glaring flaws in these, but, you know, it's kind of like why I like to go back and rewatch episodes of the old Goosebumps show, or Are You Afraid of the Dark? They're cheesy, but I'm just so nostalgic for them, and I feel like they're perfect for around this time of year. Next time, we're going to be doing something special for Halloween. We're going to be looking at a terrible straight-to-video horror movie sequel. But until then, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough.